Hello and welcome. My name is Sarah, and today we will be learning how to sew a button. For my example, I have chosen a dress shirt of mine that recently lost its button. This particular kind of button, as you see here, has a single hole on the bottom. There are other buttons out there that have 2 to 4 holes, so just keep that in mind when I'm showing you how to do this. To complete this project, you will need the following supplies. You will need a sewing needle, a button, a piece of material or a shirt, some thread, and a pair of scissors. For the thread, I would recommend picking a color that is either the same color as the material you're working with or something that looks really good with it. Since this is a royal blue, a dark blue, I'm going to go with black, since this color tends to match with basically everything. So to start, we're going to take our thread here and pull some out from the spool. We will want enough of it so that way we can fold it in half as we thread it through the needle. This will make more sense once I actually pull out some here, so let's go ahead and do that. There we go. Excellent. All right. So I usually tend to give myself a little bit more than I need, just so that way in case I underestimated how much thread I actually need, I'm covered. All right, so now we'll go ahead and thread the needle. Oh, wow, first try. I swear, the eyes on these needles are so tiny. It's insane. All right, and we'll just go ahead and pull that through. And notice how I'm continuing to pull this through the needle until I have both ends of the thread meet up. This is what I meant before about folding the thread in half. This way it's a little bit stronger than just having one layer of thread on its own. And then once we have the two ends meet, go ahead and create a little knot at the end so that way your needle does not fall off of the thread and it'll keep everything secure. So you want to get the knot as close to the end as possible. You don't want to pull the knot too tightly, but just enough so that way when you pull the needle through the material, this knot will stop the thread from just going straight through and just making another hole. Okay, so now that we have our needle threaded, we're ready to start sewing our button. So, in my particular case, since the button had fallen off of this shirt, I already have a little marked area where the button used to be. So that's where I'm going to aim to put it there. Now, for you, if you're just putting a button on a piece of material and you don't have something like that, you're going to want to mark off where you want the button to go. And you'll be using one of your hands to position the button in the place where you want it to go. So I'm going to go ahead and place the button approximately where I want it to go, so about here. And I'm going to use my other hand to start putting this on there. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to start from underneath the material and bring it up through it. So I'll go ahead and do that just so. And when you're bringing the needle through the material, you're going to want to bring it through one of the holes of your button as well. So that way you are connecting everything together and you'll be able to stabilize it immediately. So I've done that. I'm carefully pulling it through. And there we go. And you see there's a little bit of a tug there. That's the knot preventing the thread from going all the way through. So excellent. That worked. So now that you have this pulled through, your button is secure on the thread here. It's not going to come off anytime soon. So now that you have this part of it secure, you're going to finish the loop by bringing the needle now from the top through the bottom of the material. Gently pulling it through, and there we go. So now you've completed your first loop of getting the button on there, exactly where you want it to be. And now what you're going to do is you're going to do this particular part of having it go under and up and then top through bottom, completing that circle a few times until you feel that your button is really secure to this material. If your button has multiple holes, like 2 or 3 or 4, you're going to want to continue this cycle a few times, going through each of the holes in different combinations, like maybe do the 2 holes on the left, or a cross, or a diagonal. You really want to make sure that this is secure. So if you want to just keep going through it a few times until you feel like, yeah, this button's not coming off, then absolutely do so. So I'm going to put mine through a couple times just to make sure that it is secure on there. I think one more ought to do it. All right, that feels pretty good. Okay. So now that I feel like this button is pretty darn secure, it's not going anywhere, I'll go ahead and finish it off. So this time, I'm gonna bring my needle from the top through to the bottom of the material here. My last time. Excellent. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the material over so that way I am looking at the bottom part of the material. So I see that I have my my rows here. I'm not sure if you can see that here, where I went through. So I'm going to bring my needle, and I'm going to put my needle through the work that I've already done on here. And pull it almost all the way so that you have a little loop. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my needle and stick it through that hole and stick it through that loop and then pull it all the way through. So this will help create a knot. And now that I have that part secure, I'm going to create another knot. This time it's going to be similar to how we made the knot with the 2 ends of the thread when we had folded it together the first time. So I'm going to make a loop, tie it through, and there we go. So now I have that knot, so that way this button's not going anywhere, and you should be all set. So from here, you take your scissors, you cut it just above where you made your knot, and that way you are all set, and congratulations, you just sewed your first button. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you have a great one.